way sometimes. Yeah, the end. Got to end it all on the weekend. Sorry that I feel that way sometimes.
Hey guys, how you doing? If you're back and you're returning subscriber, I want to take this chance to thank you for coming back. If you're a new subscriber or you haven't subscribed yet, please take this time to subscribe, because I'll be giving you more content on how to pass the IT certifications that I'll be taking. So for this video, I'll be telling you about how I passed the Security Plus exam. So I had a little bit of background in IT. I've been doing IT overall for about 4 years. I went to college for IT. So, and currently I'm at a job whereby I'm doing the rotational program, whereby I had to go through help desk, infrastructure and networking, so that I can build a foundational knowledge before I get into the cybersecurity team in my current company. So I started my role in January and I did help desk for 3 months, and I also did plant infrastructure. So currently I'm doing networking, whereby I go to the plants, I patch machines, I deal with firewalls, and all this knowledge is gonna build up and be tailored to the new role that I'm gonna take in my company, because I want to be a SOC analyst, which I may be able to get into that in about the next 3 or 4 months. So the first thing I did when I decided I was gonna go do the Security Plus exam, I went and downloaded the course objectives, which I'm gonna put a snippet right here on the screen. So, and I'm gonna tell you what the objectives are. So the first, it's divided into 5 parts. So the first is the threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities. That takes about 24%. And then there is the architecture and design. That's about 21%. There's the implementation, which is about 25%. And then there's the operations and incident response. That's 14%. And then the last one is the governance, risk, and compliance, which is about, I believe, 14%. So what I did, if you see on those objectives, like the implementation takes the highest percentage, which is 25%. So I made sure in my study, I made sure that I understand the implementation part in and out. I also made sure that I understood the threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities about everything, because most of the exam builds up through the threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities. So I went ahead and bought a book by McGraw Hill. I'm gonna show it to you. Where is it? Here's a book. I bought when I bought this book from Amazon. It was about $30, I believe. So I read this book. It took me about a month and a half to read the book. I wasn't really consistent because I work full-time and I have another job that I do on the weekends. So I used to read these books like early mornings before I go to work, or when I come back from work. So it took me about a month and a half to read this book. So after I read this book, I realized there were some courses from Udemy. So I decided to go with the one from Jason Dion, and his course is about 22 hours for the Security Plus training. Make sure you get the 601 version, because that's the new version. So because it has more material compared to the 501 version. So I went through the Jason Dion's course on Udemy. Normally I would listen to it as I go to work, as I come back, because I have an hour drive. So if I do an hour drive to work and an hour back, that's about 2 hours. So if I already do this for 5 days, I have 10 hours gone. So I would listen to his videos. Are actually very easy to understand. The only thing about Jason Dion is that he hasn't arranged his videos according to the objective. So he didn't arrange through, like how the objectives start with the threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities, and then you go to the architecture and design. His videos are kind of like all over, but they're very nice. Even if you go by the modules, the way he has done it, you're still gonna be able to grasp his material. So when I finished his practice, his course has one practice exam. So when I finished doing his course, I did the practice exam and I made 64%.
Oh my God! Wow!
And I was very heartbroken because I thought I knew all the material. So I went back. I went through because he gives you the review of the test. So, and he has actually made it to a way that you can modify it if you want to review only the questions you got incorrect, or if you want to just see the section for the threats, attacks, and vulnerability. He's grouped his questions very well, so you can just change. You can even, yeah, according to the modules or the ones you got correct or incorrect. So his first test was very nice because it gave me an insight into what I knew and what I thought I knew, but I didn't know. So I was able to go back and go through the material again. And I went ahead and bought his practice test. So there were 6. So I bought his practice tests, and the first test I did, I made a 75, and I was very happy with the score because it was an improvement from what I had made before. And I went through that test and all the answers and everything, and I did the second test. The second test, I think I made a 88, and I thought I was ready to do the exam, but after I did the third test, I did the third test, and then I made a 61 again, and then I thought, no, I don't think I'm ready to do the test. So I thought to myself, let me try another not really a professor, another trainer. So I went ahead and bought the Professor Messer's notes and the practice test because they were coming as a bundle, but I never really utilized the Professor Messer's the notes. I felt like they were not as detailed. They were very shortened, so I didn't really utilize them. But I did his practice test, and I thought Professor Messer's practice test was actually harder than Jason Dion's practice test, because I did when I did Professor Messer test were 3 of them, but I only got to do 1, and I did the first one, and I think I made 54. So I had to go back through his review the answer, because he also gives you the review of all the material. So I went back and just kind of read everything he gave, and yeah, when I got done with that, I actually came back to the Jason's Dion test, and then I did the 4th test, I believe, and I made 90%. And then when I made 90%, now I was very confident. I felt like I was gonna go take the exam. So I had actually booked my exam for the 29th, but I went and checked. I rescheduled it for the 21st because I thought I was ready. I didn't want to waste time, because when you're studying for the Security Plus, you want to make sure like you study in a give yourself like 30 days, or like 60 days, because the more you study the material continuously, the more you're able to memorize the material, and it's going to be fresh in your brain, rather than you're studying this week, next week you're not studying. So you're going to just be trying to see whether you grasp the other material instead of going forward and progressing. And yeah, I think the most important thing is go through the CompTIA objectives, because if you go through the objectives, you're going to be able to see you're going to be able to tick the materials you understood and the ones you didn't understand. So if there's material that you didn't understand, you're going to have to come back and go through and be able to know more about those sections. And the other thing, make sure you look at the acronyms from the CompTIA objectives. There's a lot of acronyms. Like if I say like something like CVE, you should be able to know that's a common vulnerability exposure. If I say something like IRT, that's an incident response team. Just make sure you know those acronyms in and out, and you're gonna be able to understand the acronyms easily if you already know the material, rather than trying to go and cram the acronym without knowing what it actually means. And another tip I would like to tell you is make sure you form a Reddit account. So when you form a Reddit account, make sure you go on Reddit and search for CompTIA Security Plus. Try to see what other people who have taken the test are advising. Try to hear what they're saying. Some people just took the exam like 2 days ago. They're gonna post how they found the materials, and yeah, that's all I would advise. Also, there's a lab that I took. I have a PDF from InfoSec. I'm gonna post a link down. So make sure you go click on it and do those questions. I think the lab has 26 questions, and it kind of helped me understand how the network components communicate, and learn about the TCP and whether it's the allow, deny, and just how different components of on a network relate to each other. So please make sure you check that lab that I'm gonna post down. So if I forget, the last thing I had forgotten about this, but I want to remind you, there's a CompTIA Security Plus app on the Apple Store. Please go and download it. It's free, and it has all those questions in the way the objectives are lined up. So you can click the threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities. It has like 8 parts, and they're gonna tell you if you failed. They're gonna give you a review of why you failed and why the wrong answer is wrong and why the right one is right. So please make sure you download the CompTIA Security Plus app from the App Store. And the other thing, please remember to know the ports. Know if it's port 80, it's HTTP. If it's port 443, it's secure HTTP. Just know if it's port 20, is file transfer protocol. Like, just know your ports, man, and just know the ones that are secure. If it's LDAP, it's 389. When it's secure LDAP, it's 636. So know the ports at the tip of your fingers, and the exam is gonna be easy for you if you're able to do that. So on the day of the test, I decided to go and take the test and at a test center, because I read on LinkedIn and also on Reddit, people say that they took the test online and the proctor kind of like cancel the exam on them. They say they were cheating, they were not, or somebody said they moved their head and the proctor canceled the exam on them. So I didn't want to take that risk, so I decided to go to a test center which was about 30 minutes from my house, and I didn't mind that. So I went there, I took the exam about 10. I had a fresh mind and I took my exam, and then it was 82 questions. So I flagged the performance-based questions. I flagged them first, and then I did all the other questions, and then I came back to the performance-based questions. So generally, I thought the exam was very challenging to me. I actually thought I failed, but when I completed the exam, click next, I actually thought I failed. But when I started doing the survey and then completed the survey, the screen came and said, "Oh, you passed the exam," and I was very, very excited. So this is just to encourage you. If you're studying the material and you feel like you're not grasping, or you feel like you need a break, take a break. If you feel like you're not grasping it, just don't beat yourself up. Just know, it's a step at a time, and I'm very excited. So the next certification I want to take is the Network Plus. So I'm gonna start studying for it next week. So as soon as I get the materials, I'm gonna come and post here and tell you guys how the progress of how I'm studying and the materials I'm using. And yeah, from then, by the end of the year, I want to take the Security Blue Team Level 1. So as soon as I complete the Network Plus, I think I'm going to go for the Security Plus Blue Team Level 1. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, and please give this video a thumbs up so that other people can be able to see the information and utilize it. Bye.